Now, as you know, there's nothing I love more than getting nerdy and talking technical when it comes to audiophile grade gear. Today, we have an amazing brand that has a rich history in producing incredible components in the speaker category. Of course, we're talking about Morel. And we've got their product specialist, CORY STOCKLIN, joining us today to give us all the details on some of the unique technologies that Morel incorporates into their designs and a couple new offerings that are, in fact, award winning. This is CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM, all about Morel, and it starts now. What's going on, guys, and welcome to another CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu, and as promised, we are talking about Morel speakers today. Now, as mentioned, we have their product specialist, CORY STOCKLIN, who's joining us. Now, CORY, this is a brand that's loved by many, a very rich history in the fabrication and manufacturing of high-end speakers and speaker components, not only for car audio, but even for home, in fact. So can you give our audience a quick overview of what we'll be discussing on today's show?
Thanks, Ben. We're going to get into some of the products that really make Morel what we are. And we're going to cover some of the award-winning products that we have in our product line on top of some of the features that make those products able to do what they do.
All right, CORY, really excited to get into it with you today. But first, an opportunity for our partner, SiriusXM, to remind you dealers out there why you should love it. And when we come back, I've got CORY STOCKLIN from Morel, and we're going to get into it real nerdy-like.
Hey guys, Ricky Lima here from SiriusXM. I had a chance to speak to some dealers and ask them what they love about selling SiriusXM. Here's what they had to say.
Coast-to-coast coverage.
I love SiriusXM for commercial-free music.
It's a great add-on sale and a profit opportunity.
We love selling SiriusXM because you can listen to the same channel coast to coast.
Profitability and ease of installation. It's a no-brainer.
We love selling SiriusXM for its ease of installation, great profitability, and reliability.
People love it.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking with us and welcome back. We're talking about Morel in the audiophile category. Now, CORY, let's unpack a little bit for those who may not be aware of the brand. Hard to believe, but let's do our due diligence. Morel has a rich history in this category as a manufacturer of high-end speaker components and speakers in both car audio and in home. So just give us a quick, overview of who Morel actually is.
So Morel is a family-owned company, even to this day. Mayor Mordecai is our founder and is still kicking around, and his son, Oren, is now actually in control of the company. But where we came from is a partnership from an original company called RMS, and it was with the original creators of ScanSpeak and Dyna Audio. When the partnership dissolved, Mayer created Mordecai Electroacoustics, which has later been shortened to Morel. It's not the mushrooms, it's actually just an abbreviation of the name. But we're still family owned and operated in Israel, and we build all the products. About 80% of our products are built in-house in Israel still. This allows us to have a lot better quality control over our products, a lot tighter tolerances, which makes it so that we have the better products that you see in our product line.
You know, CORY, you said a key word here that I feel is very strong when it comes to any conversation, when it comes to Morel, and that is technology. I want to spend a little bit of time talking about some key technologies or features that really make Morel stand out within this space. Some of these features may be new for some of our viewers, but I think CORY's going to walk through a few. Let's start with one feature which I think is really important when it comes to thinking about Morel design and engineering, and that has to do with not only the motor structure, but also the oversized voice coils.
Yeah, so it's not just one specific technology that makes Morel be able to do what we do. It's a cascading of technologies all utilized into one. And it comes from our EVC motor structures. It comes from oversized voice coils. It comes from the Hexatech voice coil wire, and everything combines into what makes us be able to do what we can do. With the oversized voice coils on this Elate driver, you can see that we have a lot bigger of a former to be able to make it so that we have better control over the cone, which also makes it so that it doesn't walk as bad and we have better linearity. With that, we use the Hexatech voice coil wire to be able to make it so we can pack all those strands in tighter so that we have less air gaps, less potential for heat, and we have better heat dissipation due to the size and the former design of the and how tight we can move those coils together. On top of that, with the EVC design, as you can see, we move the motor structure into the center to make it so that we have a very, very tight, compact design, so that we have very shallow mounting restrictions on being able to put these speakers in there. And on top of that, we have up to 90% more efficiency with our motor structures than a conventional design, because it forces all of the magnetic flux into the voice coil as opposed to being estranged and pushed out in the environment. So all of this equals a better overall performing driver and the best listening experience that you can get from a driver.
Now, Corey, I want to kind of expand on one of the key words you said there, and the technology of having that motor structure embedded in, making it more shallow of a depth, getting the driver to be installed in more places. And this is a key theme when it comes to Morel speakers, because the engineering from Morel definitely suggests that this is a speaker that can be put in more places. What does that mean? From an installer standpoint, this gives you more accessibility and a wider range of application when it comes to using Morel speakers, which is a good thing. And on that note, you know what coaxials are. Everybody watching the show knows what coaxials are. Well, Morel does something a little bit different to not only optimize sound output, but also to optimize the space it takes, which means more applications and more opportunities to install. Please, Corey, if you don't mind, explain to us the technology behind point source.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. So the EVC motor structure goes in part with what we're talking about with install flexibility as well. The EVC motor structure, due to its compact design and being able to make the speakers a lot smaller, also gives us a lot of abilities to do unique designs and abilities. One of those I want to touch on is the 9-inch woofer driver from the Elate line. The EVC motor makes it so that the compact size makes it so that we can fit a 9-inch driver in the depths that normally a 6 even wouldn't be able to fit into. So we have a 2.9-inch mounting depth of that 9, and makes it so that we have a bigger diaphragm, better frequency response capability out of that 9-inch driver than a traditional 6.5, with still not being as deep as most 6.5s are. That EVC motor structure also allows us to bring in cool designs like point source. Point source basically makes it so that the tweeter in a normal coax would be out on top of a pull piece. Well, point source brings the tweeter in to the same areas where the diaphragm resides inside your speaker. And what that helps to do is it phase aligns the tweeter to the mid-bass diaphragm and makes it so that you have less nulls, suckouts, or frequency response problems, and it helps correct all the phase through the playband. But that wouldn't be possible without the EVC motor structure, because the point source utilizes the same motor structure as the woofer to the tweeter, and everything fits all together. On top of that, it increases the overall diameter of the voice coil capability, so we have better power handling. That Elate 9 can handle up to 200 watts RMS with that EVC motor structure, and these nanos can handle up to 150 watts RMS. So you're getting an incredible amount of power handling with all of this oversized voice coils, EVC motor design. Everything ties together so that we get great frequency response, great performance, and incredible power handling.
Another signature technology coming from Morel is their dome tweeter, in more specifically their AccuFlex dome tweeter. It's a technology they've been working on for decades now, and I feel that it's probably now at a point where it's just about as perfect as it can get. I'll let you correct me if I'm wrong, Corey.
I mean, there's always a way to try to reach perfection. I don't think that anybody's ever met actual perfection yet, but we're pretty close. Now, the AccuFlex dome is a physical design along with a coating. And what that means is that we physically made the dome to be able to perform the way that we want it to. It has a low threshold of being able to play down to 2200 hertz, which is a very difficult threshold for most conventional speakers to manage. And on top of that, it can go up above 20K and has a very natural roll off, the very good sound to the listener's ear. We utilize the AccuFlex dome tweeter in all of our home audio stuff, all of our high-end car audio things. It's dominant in the majority of our product lines. But on top of that, we are able to control the speaker even more using that AccuFlex coating. It's a hand applied coating that increases rigidity, increases damping factor. It just overall makes the speaker perform much, much better. And yes, we have been doing this for almost 50 years, making the speaker. I mean, we're always trying to make it better, but it's pretty close to perfection, not gonna lie.
And finally, Corey, one last piece of technology I want to make sure our listeners are aware of, which is also, again, unique to Morel, is the CAR filter. It's an acronym, CAR. I'll let Corey explain, but it's in a way of controlling the airflow from the woofer's movement to make it work in different environments and optimize it, regardless of where it's going to be installed.
Yeah, so the CAR filter is a filter that's put on the vent of the back side of the magnet structure. And what it does is it helps control the movement of the speaker. And what its design is to do is to make sure that this speaker sounds the same regardless of what you install it into. It mimics an enclosure, if you will. And that makes it so that you can put this in a large size door, a small size door, kick panels, a small box, anything along those lines. The frequency response, tonality, and the signature Morel sound that you have come to love will not be affected as drastically with the CAR filter as it would a conventional speaker. These are used in the majority of our products, and it makes it so that we have better bass dynamics and up to 30% more power handling than conventional designs.
Well, thank you very much, Corey, for taking the time to discuss and explain to us all these cool technologies and features from Morel. But it's time to get into the goods. And I'm pretty excited because the first thing we're going to talk about is what I feel is the series that really encapsulates all the latest and greatest technologies from Morel. It's a signature sound. It's got a unique look, a great look and feel. We're talking, of course, about the Elate Carbon series.
Yeah, so the Elate Carbon, we actually have two lines of the Elate. It's Elate Carbon and Elate Carbon Pro. And the major differences between the two have everything to do with install flexibility. The Elate Carbon Pro utilizes the Alto tweeter, which is our obviously no compromise sound quality level of products. But due to the depth and the overall size of the tweeter, it would require a custom install to be able to use those speakers. But we thought of that and we ran with the MT450 in the Elate Carbon line, which makes it so that it's a more traditional speaker as far as a tweeter. So it makes it so that you can fit it in the factory locations, not so invasive of an install, while still getting all of the sound quality that you're looking for. So if sound performance, ultimate sound performance is your goal, you'd want to use the Elate Carbon Pro. And if you do have to do a restricted install, you'd use the Elate Carbon line. Other than that, all the rest of the drivers in the line are exactly the same. So you have the option of being able to do a 5 1/4, 6 1/2, or a 9-inch driver, which is kind of unique to our line on that. And then we also have a 3 1/2-inch mid to be able to add in for a 3-way. You can run them active, passive, doesn't much matter. You're going to be able to get that sound quality, that high grade Morel sound quality out of all of these speakers.
All right, Corey, as far as the Elate series goes, there's two things I want to mention here. The first is I love the fact that there's 2 tweeter options, but not only that, multiple different driver size for the woofer options as well, whether you're doing a 2-way or a 3-way, all the way up to an 8 3/4 is what I see here, which is pretty impressive. The other thing I can't help but not mention is the resonance frequency performance on the specifications of these speakers.
Yeah, so yet again, this is kind of branching back to what we were talking about with some of the technologies of why we're kind of unique. And this is a great example of why. With our oversized voice coils and our EVC design, it gives you that massive amount of control and power handling in the speaker line. Like with the 9-inch Elate speakers, we're having up to 200 watts RMS power handling, which is substantial compared to traditional design speakers. But due to the fact that we have that oversized voice coil and we have a great diaphragm design, we use a triple layer carbon fiber diaphragm design with a inner sandwich of Roacell. And what that does is it makes it extremely light, but incredibly rigid and strong and very well damped. So we get that great ability to control this diaphragm with power, with linearity, and it makes it so that our frequency response opens up a lot. And that means that the 9-inch Elate driver can play down to into the 40s, and like the 3, which we've actually re-engineered a couple of years ago, now has this aluminum basket, which makes it so that it has a lot better control and structure to it, to make it so that we have all the efficiency going into the driver with that carbon fiber reinforced diaphragm. And all of that power handling makes it so that we can have this little 3 play down below 100 hertz, which is also, yet again, very difficult for traditional speakers to be able to do. All of this comes back to our technologies that we use in the speakers and make it so that we have a lot better flexibility, a lot more control, a lot better overall performance out of our speakers.
Yeah, absolutely incredible technology and performance when it comes to the Elate series. Now, the next series to discuss is one step down, but it's differently. It's not only a step down, but it also focuses its attention to a different type of customer. This series is called the Hybrid. And Corey, there's specific design choices when Morel decided to come up with this kit, especially in the 3-way kit, whereby the mid-range is actually a dome.
Well, to be honest, it's not necessarily a step down. It's more of a step to the side, let's say. The idea behind the hybrid line is to be able to maximize efficiency. And we saw that with the Elate, it's the Elate line, it's maximum performance, maximum overall sound quality, everything along those lines with little to no compromise. But it requires a large investment on the end user's side to be able to get matching amplifiers and everything in line to make sure that we get the maximum performance out of those speaker sets. The hybrid is more of a way to be able to be a little bit more approachable in cost, and also make it so that you don't have to have those huge investments in amplification to be able to make sure that you get the maximum amount of output out of the speakers. The hybrids use a lighter weight cone material while still having great dynamics, great performance, and good clarity, everything along those lines. But it's to make sure that you don't have to have those big amplifiers running them. On top of that, like you mentioned, that dome mid. We have the CDM 700, which is a dome mid, which is 2 inches, and it actually has a convex shape to it. And what that allows us to do is have very, very high quality detail on not so much energy put into the speaker, but it also makes incredibly good off-axis response. So install flexibility is gained by using those. The idea also with hybrid is to make it so that it fits in factory locations, and the install flexibility is gained by using those products. That CDM 700 only has a 0.7-inch mounting depth as well, so you can fit those in A-pillars, custom A-pillars or anything along those lines without having to have a huge glob of a speaker pod built onto your dash or anything like that. And if you have like a Toyota or any of the vehicles have those middlers, you can actually use a custom plate and drop those right in. They'll fit in the factory locations, no problem. So we're trying to make it so that you have a very cost-effective and low power potential to be able to sell your customer if they want to walk their way into a high-end system.
Another cool thing about the hybrid series is also the introduction of point source. So another option, as Corey spoke about the point source technology, but it is apparent here within the hybrid series.
Yeah, so point source, obviously, we believe heavily in, mainly because it takes a lot of the problems that a normal coax would cause. Frequency response issues, nulls, phase alignment problems, everything like that. Those all go away, and it makes it so that the overall enjoyment and detail, and there's a lot less, obviously, distortion in the speaker. So you get that really, really good sound quality out of a speaker that has a lot better install flexibility as well, because we have that tight, compact EVC motor that can pull up tight against the diaphragm, so that our mounting depth is smaller. And then on top of that, without having that protruding tweeter, we can actually fit it in a lot more vehicles that have restricted grills or anything along those lines. Overall, you're getting a really, really high quality sound quality speaker that fits a lot easier in a lot more install applications. And yet again, using hybrid, we have incredible efficiency even on low power. So you don't have to have that huge investment in an amplifier to be able to get the sound quality you're looking for.
All right, a quick shift in our dialogue to a subwoofer that has recently been awarded one of the highest awards you can get in this industry, an ICE award for a subwoofer. But this time it's not just any subwoofer. It's a slim subwoofer. You know, this category has been a hot category, trying to squeeze more bass output into small spaces, and it would appear that Morel has cracked the code.
So yeah, the obviously the with the restrictions in vehicle space coming with new modern vehicles, we don't have the luxury of having big SUVs anymore. We don't have big sedans. Everything is becoming more and more and more compact and more difficult to install. So we went to the drawing board and decided that we wanted a full function subwoofer that has all of the features that you come to expect from a high output, high quality SQ woofer, and we wanted to shrink it all down so it fits in a small enclosure and doesn't have much depth to it to make it so that it can fit in more vehicles like trucks, small SUVs, cars, everything like that. So we came up with the ULTIMO Power Slim Subwoofer by using a flat cone woofer and the EVC technology with a 5.1 inch voice coil. We were able to push everything up tight so that we have a 3.1 inch mounting depth for the 10, a 3.4 inch mounting depth for the 12, and we have a 700 watt RMS power handling, which makes it so that you're not losing any performance, any detail, clarity, anything along those lines that you would come to expect from a high grade full basket woofer, all packed into a very, very tight, small chassis design speaker that can fit anywhere in your car.
First of all, Corey, that woofer looks absolutely stunning. I love the way the flat driver looks, the materials and all that. But let's talk specifications, because what installers want to know is, sure, it's small, it's slim. What type of box or enclosure do I need to build to optimize the performance of this slim sub?
So the way that we approach the design of these speakers is a little bit different than some of the other manufacturers. We try to look at what we want as far as an enclosure design and what we want as far as a response, and then build to that. And then obviously, try to defy as many physics as we possibly can by making it as small as possible. But this woofer is optimized in a zero 0.8 cubic foot ported enclosure for the 10 and a 1.4 cubic foot ported enclosure for the 12. Now, the way that we engineered those boxes is to maximize transfer function inside the car, so you get a very, very flat, even, and amazing sounding response with incredible detail, impact, output. Everything will be pleasing to the ear. This is an ultimate SQ woofer, just in a very, very small package.
All right, Corey, we got two more items on my checklist that I really want to make sure we cover on today's show. The first one was, well, really quite special because in celebration of the 45th anniversary of Morel, they came out with something out of left field, which I wasn't ready for, but here it is, and we're going to talk about it right now. And that is a series of limited amplifiers called the MPS Limited. What can you tell us?
So the entire MPS line, we have the MPS Limited and the MPS normal line. The whole thing came from the fact that we've been making speakers for years, and we have control over our speakers, but we don't have control of the entire signal path. So we decided that we needed to, in order to make sure that we have that Morel signature sound from point A to point B, that we needed amplifiers as well. So the MPS Limited is a push in that direction. And the Limited is designed based around 100% fidelity, no compromise sound quality. And why we say that and what we mean by that is all the multi-channel amplifiers that we have are class AB. It's a technology that used to be very common, but is now kind of going wayward. And the reason for that is obviously D-class is a lot more efficient and smaller, but ultimately D-class still doesn't have the fidelity and the dynamics that a class AB does. And so we have the limited 2-channel, which is the limited 2.150. So it does 150 watts by 2 at 4 ohms or at 2 ohms. And you may be wondering why there's no change in power between the two. And the reason for that is it has enough power per channel. We want to match that power. So in the back of the amplifier, we have a split rail design. And you can change the jumpers or the fuses in here to be able to assign which rail system you want to use, whether you're using 2 ohm load or 4 ohm load. And what that does is it regulates the power supply inside to maximize fidelity, sound quality, signal noise ratio, everything that you care about to make sure that you have the best sound you possibly can out of an amplifier to match the impedance of the speaker set that you're putting onto the amplifier. Now, some other traditional designs using D class or H or T or anything along those lines, they measure the impedance, and it might switch between high and low impedance. So, or high current, low current, high current and high power, which is based off of impedance. The problem is that if it ever goes into like a 4 ohm speaker goes into a low impedance state, it may switch to the different rail system and never go back, which degrades your sound quality. We don't want that. We are controlling it manually by changing the fuses on this. So yes, we have a two channel class AB, and then we have a mono 1100 watt mono at 2 ohms. And the beauty of this, obviously, this is a D-class amplifier, and I just kind of ragged on D-class a little bit. But if you do D-class in the right places and you do it right, you can get incredible amounts of fidelity out of it. With the 1100 MPS amplifier, we have an oversized power supply to be able to make sure that we have good caps, good power supply, good everything that is over-engineered to make sure you have ultimate control over the subwoofer so that you have that accuracy, that detail, and good output out of the subwoofer. And ultimately, these are both designed to be high-end, top-grade SQ amplifiers.
Our final item on our presentation today is a relatively new item, which is more, well, let's call it an OEM integration piece, but at a very high level. We're talking about a BMW Integration Series coming from Morel that'll help you get into these BMW vehicles without the hassle of customization while optimizing and improving the performance over their original sound system.
So yeah, the BMW is obviously a very hot ticket item with upgrades. The factory audio system in those is sometimes not the best. It's got an EQ curve that's kind of world specific. So like it's not generic for or designed or engineered for the US market. And, you know, sometimes we want more bass, we want more output, we want more of this, more of that. The BMW doesn't want their speakers to blow up. They don't want to replace them. So the best thing that we can do is add replacement speakers to get better sound quality, better output, better power handling, better everything. So the BMW integration line is to do that. And we have two different lines. We have the IP and the IR line. The IP line is designed to be a factory replacement. It utilizes factory amplifier or head unit power and is a drop-in solution and plugs straight in, whether you have component or coax, whichever one. We have a 4-inch driver that will work with that. And then the component set has a tweeter set as well. So if you have tweeters in the vehicle, you can replace those. The IR line is an upgraded version of a component in a point source design. We talked about that previously. But what that does is we have better power handling and is designed to be maximized with an aftermarket amplifier, DSP system, anything along those lines to be able to get your ultimate power or your ultimate sound quality out of your BMW at two different price points and two different quality standpoints. So with IR, you have 100 watts RMS power handling on the component set and 80 for the point source. But the whole design behind the IR is to give you the overall maximum performance that you can in a drop-in solution. With the IP, obviously, we're still using that factory amplifier, but it has a power handling of up to 60 watts RMS. So still very substantial amount of power handling, but it's just two slightly different levels of power handling and sound quality. Now, both kits combined have rings, factory rings, that are meant to be dropped in. And in a combination of these rings, you can actually fit the majority of modern BMWs. We have a call-out sheet that shows you which vehicles are which rings are required for which vehicles and how to make these installs simplistic. On top of that, we have factory fit plugs that make it so that everything plugs straight into the factory wiring, no cutting, no splicing, no nothing along those lines. If it needs, it also has inline crossovers in case the speaker itself needs to be separated or have a frequency response change. On top of that, we also include a parts kit or a tool kit that makes it so that you get all your pry tools to be able to do the install in case you don't have them. The only thing you would need is maybe Torx bit or screw gun or something along those lines. The shortcoming of all BMWs is usually the underseat woofers and the bass. This woofer right here is designed to work with the factory plugs and plug straight in so that you don't have to do any wiring, modifications, anything along those lines. We do give you a gasket so it bolts straight in. We use a reverse mounted neodymium magnet to be able to make sure that you have good power handling with a 2.1-inch voice coil so that we have incredible amounts of output out of this woofer. Everything that is on the back half of this woofer and the diaphragm, motor structure, everything like that is all designed by Morel in-house. Now, it does look like a lot of the other products out there, and that's mainly because we needed to be able to get the factory plug, which the build house for the OEM subwoofers has the rights to that. So the front looks very much like most of the other products out there, but I guarantee you it does not perform like those subpar products. This is a premium sound quality and output woofer. It has 200 watts RMS peak power handling, or 200 watts RMS power handling with 500 watts peak, and it can play down to 10 hertz. It's an incredible little woofer that can take a lot of abuse. You can use the factory amplifier power, or you can use aftermarket. Either way, doesn't matter. You have a good subwoofer solution with incredible response.
And that was Morel product specialist CORY STOCKLIN joining us today to give us a breakdown of all the key technology and some new products, such as that new slim subwoofer that is award-winning and certainly has my attention. For more information, if you're interested in getting more information on any of the products covered on today's show, I do want to send you over to their official website at morelhifi.com. Now, if you happen to be a Canadian dealer tuning in, then you need to know that their official partner in distribution for Canada is, in fact, Gemsen. On that note, we're reaching out to our good friend Dave Singh, who's their sales manager at Gemsen, to join us for a few questions and get some Canadian perspective. Now, Dave, Morel is a brand that quite literally sits in a sea of other premium brands. Let's be honest, there's a lot of choice and selection for dealers to sift through in today's market. I'd like to hear in your words why you feel Morel should definitely be considered when it comes to a premium offering in the speaker category.
Hey Ben, as Corey mentioned, Morel was created almost 5 decades ago, and Mordecai's quest to create the perfect speaker, as well as his love for music, is really what drives the company today. The beauty of any Morel product that you get is going to be amazing performance, and that is the most important thing that dealers have to remember, and customers. You are getting an amazing sounding product, and it doesn't matter what price point you're entering the Morel products with, whether you're on a budget and you're looking at Tempo or Maximo, or whether you're looking for audiophile gear like the Elate Carbon Pro and the Supremos, which we didn't talk about. You can rest assured that you're going to get a great sounding product, and you're going to get a product that sounds like a product that you would normally have to spend 2 to 3 times the amount of money on. That's really important.
Dave, I agree with everything you just said, but I'm going to layer that with yet another point, which I really want dealers to understand. Is all this technology also means applications and structures that will simply fit in locations that no other speaker will go. And for me, that provides an incredible value for the store who has the solution for their customers.
Ben, you bring up a great point. Yes, we talked about the newest speaker, the Power Slim Subwoofer, which is just over 3 inches deep for a 10 and 12. It's a great solution for applications where you have limited space. But let's talk about 4-inch speakers and vehicles like classic cars or hot rods, where you do not have necessarily in the mounting space or an owner that wants to allow you to chop up his fine restoration so you can throw a 6.5-inch speaker. So you enter the Virtus Nano Carbon, which is a 6.5-inch, and we also have a 4-inch with only 3/4 of an inch of mounting depth. And when you look at that speaker, you think to yourself, there's no way there can be any type of bass until you hear it. Everybody that hears that speaker is blown away. So Morel's innovative technology allows them to do things and create speakers and put them in places that normally you could not put a regular speaker without any compromise. So at the end of the day, what Morel brings to the table, which is very unique, is innovative technology, incredible performance, and for dealers, which they're going to love, is great profitability. Morel is one of the best speaker brands out there on the market. They're definitely a leader in the category, and you should give it a try.
I want to take this time to thank my two guests for joining us on today's show, both CORY STOCKLIN from Morel as well as Dave Singh from Gemsen. And in my final closing comments, when it comes to Morel, well, I have a soft spot for this brand. This brand has been around for so long doing what they do, and that is putting out great products that are innovative, packed with technology, and finding solutions for dealers to put speakers, like Dave mentioned, where simply no other speaker can go. What adds to that even more, however, is their implication on a global scale within the sound industry. This is a company that manufactures parts and components to very high-level grade home speaker companies, and not to mention, they do have their own home collection as well. More so, they also provide OEM support for some of the most luxurious cars out there. I do recommend you take a closer look at Morel, especially on their website, to take a look at all that type of networking and footprint that they have. But to bring it all home, this is a brand from a store perspective that could provide not only good, better, best, but good, better, best, and ultra performance, where we didn't get a chance to get into their Supremo line, but this is the upper crust of audio fidelity. But when it comes to the Elate Pro, which, hey, let's not sneeze, this is an incredible high-end sound offering from Morel in different formats in both the regular and the Pro. But overall, this is a brand that does one thing and does one thing incredibly well: create incredible speakers that you can enjoy and listen to. And for that, I commend them. This is CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM with over 150 channels in your vehicle. Your Platinum Plan offer includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video on Demand. What you love is on now.